Hi, I'm Lauren. I've just finished School Direct here at Bexheath Academy in Languages, and I also did the PGC top-up on the side.
Hi, I'm Sam. I did the School Direct in English, and I also did the PGCE.
Hi, I'm Ricky. Just finished the School Direct in the Maths department here at Bexheath Academy. I didn't do the PGCE. We're just going to give you a really kind of quick hints and tips now about our experiences here at Bexheath Academy under the School Direct programme. Hiya, so we're going to quickly talk about folders and how they're going to take over your lives during your School Direct placement. Now this is a completed folder. This is Lauren's folder and it is super organised and it is absolutely amazing. Mine was slightly less organised and slightly less super amazing. But what I'd like to talk to you about how you can kind of make it a little bit easy for yourself. So I, in the last kind of month to 2 months, kind of tried to cram everything into my folder at that point, and it would just become a little bit disorganised and it kind of took over my life. Whereas if I'd have known what the folder was going to look like from the start, I think it would have been slightly easier. I think you might have an example folder. I think you might have Sam's, which is another super organised folder, so definitely look through that. Take as much from it as you can so you can have your folder all set out and know exactly where everything is. But the way I would do it if I was going to do it all again is I would make a kind of ghost folder from the start. So I'd get a folder, I'd look through the ROD and what's needed, and then I would literally make all of my sections up. And even if I didn't have things in at that point, I would have a piece of paper that said, you know, it could be your efficacy tracker goes here, or it could be your learning journal, whatever it's going to be. So you actually create a folder from the start, and then once you've done the pieces, they can go straight in.
Okay, so I just want to quickly talk about the evidence that you gather throughout the year. So you have to gather evidence that shows you meeting the 8 teaching standards. And I think it's really important to have a good variety because everybody will have lesson plans to show evidence of them meeting the needs of all their students or setting really high expectations. Everybody's going to have observations, so you want to try and do some things that will make you stand out. So some examples of things that I've got from this year. I kept a blog, so this is a screenshot of some of the work I put on my blog. This is some work I did on my placement. I've got certificates that I gave out. And again, more blog posts I wrote about the students' behaviour on the blog. I've also got pictures of students' work and comments that they left me. And there's also things like emails and posters and things like that. This is some work that I shared on Facebook. So put in a variety of things into your folder because it's more personal to you and it really shows off what you can do.
Next, I wanted to talk to you about some of the concerns that trainees are faced with when they first start in the school. Obviously, we're a bit afraid that we're going to be seen by the students as only a trainee. You know, you're not as important, you're going to have the kids playing up. That's generally quite a concern, and I know that me, Lauren and Ricky were concerned about it at the beginning of the year. The thing that I did, teachers will generally ask you, how do you want to be introduced? If they don't, then do please tell them how you want to be introduced. I asked to be introduced as just another teacher, so they just say, you know, me and Miss Selby will be teaching you this year, and I think that really helped. We didn't really make a big deal out of it. And because we didn't, the kids didn't, and it just worked out.
I think all three of us would be lying if we said that this year is going to be easy for you, and it's definitely not. There's moments that you're going to think this is the hardest job in the world, but there's also going to be moments you're going to think this is the best job in the world. So what we want to talk to you about is how we kind of dealt with that.
Right, one of the things...
We prepared this, by the way.
I missed my cue, obviously. Right, one of the things that we did as a team, we'd often meet up outside of school, go for drinks, go for dinner, and just chill. I mean, sometimes we'd end up talking about school, venting to each other, talking about all the concerns, getting answers for things because we were confused, either about school policies or training expectations, or the folders. The folders were very confusing. Hopefully our folders as examples will help you. But yeah, it really helped us out because it gave us people we could turn to, not just in our department but outside, because obviously I'm English, Ricky's Maths and Lauren's NFL. But it was just brilliant to have people that were available to you and in the same boat as you.
And then not only did we help each other when things were getting difficult, or also to celebrate, but we helped each other with a lot of the work side of things. So if we were trying to find a document on the university website and someone couldn't find it, we sent stuff to each other all the time to help each other with the folders. We also observed each other quite a lot throughout the year, and I think because we're all training to be teachers at the same time, our minds are really in tune for all the things that we're looking for. So actually the feedback that we gave each other was often much more detailed and more useful than observation feedback from other teachers. So it was a really good way to see each other in action. Obviously we could put the observations in our folders, and we learned a lot from each other this year. Okay, we're now quickly going to talk about how important it is to get involved in things outside the classroom and also outside of your department area, even outside your building. I'm in a separate building from where English and Maths are, so I sort of get stuck over here. So I think the best thing that I've done this year is I've got quite involved with working with the head of Year 7. So I've been over to the office quite a lot this year. I've helped her with welfare problems, I've helped giving phone calls home to parents, I've sent letters home, I've helped her organise trips, and just been there to support her through a lot of things because she's got a very big year group in the current Year 7, and I've learnt a lot, and I think it's made me really interested in taking on a pastoral role at some point in my teaching career. Also, as part of the staff wellbeing that they've tried to introduce this year, I volunteered to give a Zumba class, so every 4 Mondays, and then I ended up doing it every Friday as well. I gave a Zumba class just for staff, which was really fun. It was a great way to meet loads of new people that I'd never come across before in the school, and also get a bit of exercise done at the end of the day, which you can often forget about when you're thinking about planning and marking all the time. So yeah, it's been really, really good.
I wanted to talk to you about all the trips that you get the opportunity to go on. The good thing is, because you're training, you've obviously got a staff member in the room with you, so it's quite easy for you to be let go, you don't need cover. This allows me to go on 2 English trips to the theatre. It's allowed me to go on a trip to Ypres for history, to look at the wartime graves. And also I went on a residential trip to Disneyland over the half term. Yes, I did use up my half of my half term on a holiday. I couldn't really appreciate because of kids, but yeah, it was really interesting because you get to see kids in a completely different light. You get to meet kids that you don't normally see, or maybe you've seen in the corridor and that's about it. And also you get to meet and work with staff that you don't necessarily see because they're outside your department. So I found that really good. Me and Lauren did try to set up a club at the beginning of the year. It kind of crashed and burned, but
This is when you were very eager though, wasn't it? Very eager.
Yeah, this is when we were eager and yeah, weren't prepared. So yeah, it's okay to fail. We failed and we're still here and we're still doing fine. Also, did we want to talk about the AFL thing?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
We do.
The AFL team. Okay, we are all members of the AFL team. Now you will probably be asked to join some kind of team. I've recently been asked to join the SEN team for next year. These are really good because they're great on your CV. They give you responsibilities outside your department where you train other people. Even as a trainee, we have been training qualified staff with far more experience than us, because obviously we've been reading the material more recently and we're more familiar with current policies because we have to study them. But yeah, it's been really good. So yes.
I suppose I'd like to mirror exactly what's just been said. When I first kind of come to the school, I couldn't work out why departments didn't really kind of know each other across the board. There was like, I don't know, nearly 200 staff, and I assumed everyone would know everyone within any department. But when you join and when you start, it's so easy just to stay in your department. So I think, I don't know, for about 3-4 weeks, I don't actually think I left the maths department. Sure, at some point I went home in that 4 weeks, but I can't really remember it. But yeah, it's really important to get involved as much as you can. So I kind of run a little rugby club, so for year 7s, 8s and 9s, just after school once a week. And exactly like the girls have been saying, it just gets you can go to other parts of the school, you get to know other kids that you don't teach. So when you're walking around the corridors, they can say hello to you, they know who you are, and you just feel more part of the school. And I think that's the great thing about School Direct. You don't just dip into a school, you have a whole year here, and you really can, you really can just be part of Bexley Academy. I feel like we need a hug in a minute. We good?
Yeah.
So this section is really about kind of subject knowledge. So I've done my placement in maths department, but maths isn't my specialty. So what I found really useful is just utilising the staff around you. The staff in your department are going to be amazing, and I cannot imagine that any of them, if you ask for help, would say no. So everything from the actual kind of subject knowledge to finding out where the kids are going to go wrong, what misconceptions are going to be there, so you're kind of one step ahead, just to help your kind of planning. But also that counts for how you're going to set up your class, to your behaviour management. Just use and abuse everyone around you and take on as much as you can from it. Go for it.
So we obviously do a PGCE, as we said. The great thing about the PGCE is it really enhanced our own practice. The theories that we were able to study through the PGCE, all the texts that they gave us, and there were a lot of texts, you need to be willing to do the wider reading. They really did inform us so much more than just teaching in a school. They told us about the wider situation with schooling, with education, policies, government, all these things that we wouldn't have had access to otherwise. And further to that, if you're interested in doing further study, it's definitely the way to go, because I know that I was interested in doing a master's, I still am. I think Lauren's looking into it as well. And also if you want to teach abroad, then you can teach abroad with the PGCE.
Yeah, the final, so we did 3 PGCE essays throughout the year. The final one we did though was an action research, so we had to come up with our own, kind of research that we were going to do in our classrooms, read around it, the theory, the background, the policies, and then do some kind of, experiment, I guess, and then look at the results at the end. What we ended up doing is, we're in different departments, so we got together, came up with an idea that we were both going to do, and effectively worked on the whole project together. But we sort of read around our own subjects, but also shared theories and shared policies. Every week we met up, talked about it, so when it came to writing the essay, we already had it all together, and it was really nice to have a support, because it was quite a lot of work, the last one. But it ended up becoming more fun because we did it together. So if you can get together with someone to talk about it, I think it really helps. But the PGC was great, and I'm really glad I did it, even though it's a bit more work.
Hi, so we're entering the last section of our video, and these are our top tips. My top tip is that you be as organised as you can possibly be. Me and Lauren are naturally quite organised people, Ricky not so much, but we tried to help him along the way. Luckily he had us.
Definitely.
Part of the organisation is obviously you need to prioritise what needs to be done right now. You get deadlines, if you're doing PGCE you get PGCE deadlines, but in school you will get your marking deadlines for your exercise books, you'll get your marking deadlines for your assessments, data capture deadlines, you've got to get your data on by this time. It's a lot of deadlines, and you've got to make sure that you do meet those deadlines. There's a lot of other things that you will need to do, but they aren't necessarily as important or as urgent. So you've just got to make sure that you're kind of thinking about what needs to be done now, what needs to be done next. Something that me and Lauren benefited from due to our organisation is we do a lot of to-do lists.
So many.
She does them in her planner, I do post-it notes on my desk.
I don't see Sam's in a room, I know what she's been doing.
And this tells us exactly what we need to do. So yeah, just whatever works for you, because obviously Ricky's got his own strategy, Lauren's got her own strategy, and I've got my own. So it's whatever you want to do, but be organised, please.
Want to go next?
Yeah, so mine's going to sound quite strange, but it's be as much of a person, or be as much of yourself as you can in the classroom. I think it's really easy for students to misbehave or disrespect a teacher as just a figure, but it's a lot harder for them to do it to an actual person. So the more yourself you bring to the classroom, the more they'll see you as a person, and that kind of relationship will build up, and for them, they'll respect you a lot more, and you'll probably have a much better working environment in your classroom.
Yeah, definitely. My main piece of advice would be to make sure that you have a life outside of school. So before Christmas...
There's outside of this school? That is ridiculous.
Would you believe it? So before Christmas, so like September, October, November, December, School Direct literally took over my life, and I never saw my friends at the weekends, I never spent any time with my boyfriend. I stopped getting invited to things because my friends just presumed I would say no. And at Christmas, I I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. If this is what being a teacher is going to be like, I don't want to be a teacher. But I came back after Christmas in January and just thought, I'm going to have to do it completely differently. And I made sure in the evenings, even if I had to do a tiny bit of work, it wouldn't be anything too taxing and it wouldn't take me very long. And I always made sure at the weekends I went out and did something, whether it was on my own or I went out and did something with friends. I made time to enjoy myself, even if that meant coming in Monday morning and quickly planning my lesson for period 1. It meant that I'd had a really nice weekend and I wouldn't look back on my year and regret it. And my friends and family all said to me after Christmas what a big difference they noticed. And even though technically I was working less, I actually did a lot better. So that's my main bit.
Guys, taking an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to plan a lesson is a waste of your time, because it won't even be a good lesson, because you've structured it so much that you are not prepared for anything that happens. You know, Jimmy goes and chucks something across the room and suddenly the lesson's gone. So
and then you'll just look back and think, wow, I just spent 3 hours for nothing.
So our top tips are: don't plan lessons and go out. Perfect. It's teaching.